Hi everyone, Charles here from the Haiku Cyber Range. It's a pleasure to have you back in this 3-part Metasploit video tutorial. For those who haven't seen the first 2 videos in this 3-part series, feel free to check it out at haikurange.com. Now that you know how to scan and use Metasploit's aux scanners, we will tie it all together and try to exploit a vulnerability found on a system. Let's go ahead and dive into Metasploit. We'll start off by reinforcing what we've already learned. We'll run a scan on our environment, scope out host services and vulnerabilities, do a quick search on exploits for the various services and vulnerabilities. Then I'll show you how to execute the exploit and hopefully gain access to the remote computer. First things first, let's kick off a scan on our environment. Now that the scan is complete, we will look through our hosts and services to see what was found. We see that one host is up. We'll type hosts and see that the IP address 10.98.10.8 is up running Windows 2008 Service Pack 1. Now let's take a look at the running services on this server. Alright, we see Elasticsearch is running, Apache HTTPD, Oracle Glassfish 4.0, MySQL 5.5, WebRick, and all sorts of services are running on this server. Seeing that our scans found service versions, we can do a quick Google search and see if there are any vulnerabilities found on the service versions. Moreover, you can go to exploittacdb.com to search for vulnerable services and their exploits. Let's take a glance at ExploitDB. ExploitDB is a very powerful search engine which can help show vulnerable software, apps, and services. This site also provides exploit scripts and vulnerability descriptions for cyber pen testers and vulnerability researchers. Now we saw there were several services running on our host, so we can search for a particular service. Let's try MySQL. When we typed MySQL, ExploitDB found a plethora of exploits for MySQL that tells you when it was released, who released it, a download of the exploit script, so you can upload to Metasploit, and much more. By clicking one of these titles, you can see the vulnerability description and the exploit, and you can also have the choice to download if you like. Now that we've seen exploits for MySQL, let's go back to the Haiku Cyber Range to see if we can exploit our remote host with a MySQL vulnerability. In Metasploit, we could type search and then the name of the application to see if an exploit is available. So let's go ahead and search MySQL. This is a bit hard to read, so let me try maximizing the window. Okay, the list shows the number of available exploit. The trick is to find an exploit with an excellent rating. Here you go, let's try this MySQL UDF payload exploit. It's got the excellent rating. We just simply type use and then the file path. And then press enter. Now that we're using this exploit, we just type show options to see what is required to use this exploit. Anything with the yes under required is what is needed to run this exploit. Lucky for us, the majority of the required field is filled out. We only need an R host or a remote host. So we'll go ahead and set a remote host to our IP address that we found. All we need to do now is type exploit or run for this exploit to run. Now this exploit creates and enables a custom user-defined function, aka UDF, via the select into dump file method of binary injection, simply allowing the cyber pentester to execute code remotely. On default Microsoft Windows installations of MySQL, directory write permissions are not enforced, and the MySQL service runs as a local system. As you can see, we were able to successfully gain access, and a session has been established with the remote host because of the vulnerability. Let's type in pwd, or print working directory, to see what folder we are currently in, and shows that we are in C drive, WAMP, bin, MySQL, MySQL 5.5, data. And this is on the remote host, and we can verify that by typing ipconfig. You see that the interface of this host, interface 16, shows that the IP address is 1098.10.8. Doing a quick sysinfo, this shows the host name and the operating system. Indicates that the operating system is Windows 2008 R2, build 7601, service pack 1. And here is our host name. You can also browse a remote machine with commands and possibly download information that may be useful from this machine. By using Linux commands, you can just browse the directories, and then you can go to certain directories that you think may have useful information, and then download that information. Since an interpreter session has been created, we can type in the question mark to see what other commands we can run against this remote host. Shows that we can shut down, suspend, we can steal tokens, and I believe there's a way we can take a snapshot of the screen of the desktop, or grab a screenshot. Well, that's all for this video tutorial. Hope this 3-part beginner series of Metasploit helped you out. To read the latest about the Haiku cyber range or see features, tips, and tricks, visit us at haikurange.com.